I'm going to throw in a lot of buzzwords. Also, let's make this interactive. If anyone has questions, it doesn't necessarily have to be a TED Talk. You can just jump in. As I mentioned, I'm Alon. I'm a certified nerd, big believer in intersection of cloud and 3D. So that's kind of my thing. I run a company called Echo. We've been around for 7 years now, raised 9.5 million, a bunch of VC rounds. I was in your shoes. I went to Columbia, which I don't know if there's a rivalry here, but was in your shoes, wanted to become an entrepreneur, wanted to start a company, started 7 years ago after grad school, and here we are, thousands of users, partnership with amazing companies in the world of 3D specifically, and HXR being one of the biggest use cases. So this is actually my thesis project back at Columbia University. We took CT and MRI scans, converted them into 3D, and I built this really cool application for a physician to see the patient's heart floating above them during surgery. A really, really cool use case. I got to scrub in, which was wild. No one even checked my ID. But the problem with that, I had to do something I really, really hate, and that's waking up super early in the morning. I had to be at the hospital like 5 a.m. to swap out 3D models, animation, interactive content. And I was like, I'm an engineer. Why am I here? Why am I in OR? It's cool and everything, but why is there no like cloud solution that can just drag and drop a 3D model of an aorta and that will appear in the glasses? And there wasn't. So I was like, okay, I'll build it. And that's kind of how my company started. The cool thing about this use case specifically that we saw that, hey, this is actually not only in medicine, you also have that in other use cases. We're seeing 3D everywhere these days. We're seeing it in gaming. We're seeing it in AR/VR, obviously, in e-commerce, kind of try before you buy experiences. If you play Roblox, every asset there is like a 3D model that's stored on some kind of cloud. So it's really, really kind of fun and interesting to see how content has evolved from images to videos and now like 3D content. So this is kind of our focus, and the problem that we're really trying to solve is, again, kind of the managing of 3D content, allowing you to bring content everywhere, anywhere in the world, really, really easy. If you think about 2D content, can I move this thing? If you think about 2D content, it's pretty cool if I watch, I don't know, some new show on Netflix and I'm kind of trying to get the best streaming experience, I will get that because we have all the infrastructure for that. If I'm writing a blog post and I want to add a video or an image, I can just do that easily. So we basically translated these concepts into 3D, allowing builders like yourselves to store and share 3D models and get the best 3D delivery. So basically a lot of our, I'm going to talk about it a little bit more, but like a lot of our tech is around the conversion and compression of 3D. Thinking about this room, if I want to have a scan of this room to share with people. When we talk about an image or a video, that's usually a single file. But 3D, again, like a scan of this room, that could be 17 files. It's textures, mesh, animation, skeleton, and it could be massive. It could be 500 gigabytes large, and I need to bring it to your phone in 5 seconds. So how do you do that? So that's kind of a lot of the things that we had to solve. And this is kind of what we've built. And I'll show you a cool demo, and I'll talk about more kind of use cases with some of our clients and how they use kind of 3D content at scale. So we'll dive into that. But really the core is to basically have a way to store and optimize content and share that anywhere in the world. Let's put a demo here. Maybe I'll just jump into the actual platform just to show you all. So this is basically a platform you can upload images, videos, 3D models, but basically it's kind of like a Google Drive for 3D that allows you to upload anything, see your content in 3D, share it across your organization. The cool thing about this is when you upload content to Echo, we automatically have AI tagging, for example. So it helps with search and indexing. The system, the cloud, suddenly understands what your 3D models are. It understands it's a card, it understands that it's yellow, it understands all these different things. And this is really, really powerful with some of our clients. We work with BMW, Chevron, Energizer, and more, and we'll talk about these use cases. But it really, really helps you to kind of see all the content everywhere and share that across your organization. I can show you some other stuff here. Maybe here I have some point clouds. These are digital scans of kind of actual facilities for one of our clients. This is a file that's 500 megabyte large, like half a gig, and look how fast it loads. I mean, kudos for the Harvard Wi-Fi too, but this is all us. And it's really cool that you can kind of upload massive files, massive digital twins, and have them load easily and kind of stream them anywhere in the world. And all built into the platform. And then you can search through stuff. We have stuff around like multimodal search. Basically, you can upload an image and then search with that image. We worked with Nike, for example, and they wanted a way to upload an image of a shoe and get that 3D model. Let me maybe try to I can search for a shoe. Yeah, it just finds me all the 3D models that I have that are shoes. So it's really, really a cool way to kind of have infrastructure that allows you to upload these files and kind of share them across everywhere. Another cool thing, we talk about compression. So we have built-in compression for 3D files. So you can basically take a file and say, hey, I'm going to send this to someone that has a device in a location with low bandwidth, or I have a user that honestly has really spotty internet connection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compress this file. Let's say decimate the polygons by 40%. So I'll be able to easily send those files. If you're building a game, that's really, really crucial to have different, it's called LODs, level of details, different versions of files that you can kind of share across your team or across your game, because different users might have different bandwidth. So we have all these things built in and version control and whatnot. So really, really cool ways to kind of understand how people use content across any use case. Imagine that you're building a cool XR application and you have multiple users in multiple locations doing some multiplayer game. If you connect everything to the cloud, you have the benefit of actually tracking where users are coming from and maybe kind of expanding how your content is being distributed. We have servers all over the world that basically allow you to share this content easily and like really, really fast. And again, to kind of like allow you to get the best streaming, like 3D streaming experience. Let's jump back to the slide. So let's talk about some kind of the things that we've kind of just discussed. So basically allowing it to share assets really easily, allowing it to deploy these assets really quickly, and have that kind of 3D optimization and compression, which is kind of the core technology behind the scenes that allows you to basically handle all these files. And you saw I was able to load in the browser a bunch of 3D models without the browser crashing, without kind of having any issues or whatnot. Which is really impressive. I'm going to share this recording with our tech team that like usually has like it needs to handle crashes, and I think they'll be happy. So let's talk about again how does it work. So basically, we created this cloud-ready 3D platform, and then we've created all these SDKs and integrators and APIs that allow you to connect that to anything you're building. So if you're building an app in Unity or Unreal, or if you're using AirKit or AirCore, or using Niantic's Lightship, which is like a really cool kind of 3D visual SDK, or if you're using NVIDIA Omniverse. So we basically created connectors to all the 3D platforms out there, and then all the data that you have stored on your kind of like 3D Dropbox, which is Echo, is basically able to disseminate anywhere in the world. And then you get the tracking, get the compression, everything kind of behind the scenes. But you don't have to do anything. You can just kind of focus on building, and we do all the kind of like pipe work behind the scenes. It's called the infrastructure that is required. This means that all your content is in the cloud. This means if you're building a game, suddenly your assets are not actually there. So if you're building an extra application like the one I showed you earlier that I built at Columbia, those hearts, those aortas don't actually exist in the build. They exist in the cloud, and then when we open the application, they dynamically stream from the cloud to the device. This allows you to update things in real time. That allows you to have like really, really small applications because you can actually update things without anything crashing, and reduces the overall build size. Because then you can create a game that like every time it rains outside, you change something. Every time, I don't know, if it's a holiday, Christmas is coming up, you want to retexture all your assets to have a Christmas theme, you just do that on the cloud and it automatically changes in the build. That's a really powerful thing in general. If you're building an extra application, I think that's the coolest thing about 3D. If you're thinking about any websites today that are kind of 2D experiences, you never get the sense of like, oh, if I log in again, I'm going to get a different experience. But in 3D, sky's the limit. Like you can literally change things based on the weather, based on where the person is standing, right? Like something like Pokemon Go, you can change it, like kind of the experience based on how they're doing. And like for that, you really have to have like cloud infrastructure that allows you to do that. So I really kind of encourage you, if you're building something, think about like how interactive it can be, how dynamic it can be over time versus kind of legacy applications today. They're 2D, right? And like they just like nothing changes and just like the same image that I'm going to see every time you log. Other stuff that are worth mentioning. So since we started the company, we already have like over 200,000 people using our platform for basically these purposes, like building applications, uploading massive scans, uploading insane amount of content, allowing you to kind of search through them. I want to talk about specific use cases that some of our clients use. Again, if there are any questions, feel free to jump in. There's really, really cool industrial use cases. It's like an emerging space where we're seeing a lot of 3D usage there. So let me talk about that a little bit. But our core is really creating this kind of cloud that allows you to build whatever you want. So it's really use case agnostic, and we powered applications from literally anything, even though we started from kind of the medical use case, it literally can do anything. So let's talk about some case studies. One was BMW, for example, in the automotive space. They had an insane amount of 3D models, specifically car parts, and they needed a way to find duplicates. They had a department that bought some car part for €500,000. and another department bought the same car part for another €500,000. The problem here is like you can't search for it. If you use Dropbox, you can't double click a file and see what it is, or all the files are name something something underscore final underscore v2. With Echo, it just finds you automatically, finds you all the duplicates and whatnot as you upload them. Another cool example is with Chevron. Chevron has an insane amount of digital twins. Every time they do a inspection, they do a massive scan of their oil rig. Those scans are stored on Echo, and then they can search through them, open them like I showed you earlier. You can like open massive files with just a click of a button that usually just doesn't work at all in other kind of legacy storage solutions. Lowe's was also an interesting use case. They have 3D models of all the things they manufacture. Seems pretty obvious, right? They have 3D artists on their teams, basically creating 3D files, and they use Echo to kind of store these files and share them for like a try before you buy experiences. Same with Chanel, really cool use case. They have really high fidelity files of everything they manufacture, and like because it's so kind of high fashion, the 3D models need to be really, really lifelike. So your compression needs to be really, really good to allow you to actually see something and kind of experience it and feel that it's kind of the real thing. This is the U.S. Department of Energy. They have a nuclear naval lab that has all these really cool 3D models. And basically, again, massive files, massive scans of 3D that if you want to bring to an XR device or if you want to be able to bring into like a game engine, it's really, really hard. So with Echo, it just kind of makes it super easy. You just upload it and automatically it just works, and it doesn't matter where you got the file. If it's some Autodesk or Adobe product, it just works automatically. This is another cool company, a manufacturer of medical devices. They have 3D scans for all their medical devices between their manufacturing team and the marketing. The marketing team really wants access to the real life assets, and having them in a centralized location really, really helps. So that's really, really cool. And again, like a really kind of really nice industrial use case of manufacturing. This is a cool European company that does kind of marketing, specifically in XR, so I wanted to include that. And they have scans of products and kind of activations that they do. But again, all these files need to be stored somewhere, and all the user traction, user engagement needs to be logged somewhere. So Echo becomes the kind of back end as a service, and they can kind of share everything and save everything. There's some other really cool use cases. I put here some really cool ones, and like when like all these NFTs were a thing, people did like 3D NFTs. I wanted to like show some of the like, XR examples that people did like digital collectibles, and you can run around and collect things in the real world. I personally think it's pretty dope that you can have like again digital collectibles in the real world, and you can kind of like travel and then like unlock things. We saw another really cool use case that some fashion brand did in XR. They let you buy a sweatshirt. And when you buy it, you also buy a digital version of that sweatshirt, and you can see it in XR, like try it before you buy, and like kind of look how it looks on yourself, or you can like put it in a Roblox, so your avatar and like whatever, or like Fortnite, like your avatar will wear the same sweatshirt that you bought, which honestly kind of dope. In the middle here, we have an example of a New York-based company that does urban design. And again, they have just massive scans of buildings before they're actually being built. And you want to visualize that in kind of AR, show that to planners, show that to communities so they can kind of approve or disapprove the design and stuff like that. So really cool use cases. And again, I'm really encouraging everyone here, kind of 3D XR like has so much like insane potential. You're really just limited only by your imagination. So you can really build really, really cool things. And the fact that you have kind of the infrastructure ready really helps. Some shameless plug about our company. We won a bunch of awards, backed by a bunch of really cool VCs. If you see us in any one of those conferences, please say hello to our team. Here's some really cool quotes from some powerful people about augmented reality, virtual reality, 3D to kind of get you jazzed up about kind of the space and kind of why XR matters in general. I think for everyone, it's kind of evident that that's kind of the next frontier of technology. Just sometimes it's something that we need to figure out about like the content, about the infrastructure, about the kind of headsets and kind of the form factor, but all like we have all these people kind of working on every kind of aspect of kind of XR. My thing is the cloud, but other people's is content creation, and a lot of people is hardware. So kind of be really, really optimistic about this space because it's kind of, again, everyone is kind of working on it behind the scenes. And yeah, if you want to check out our platform, we have a free trial. Everyone here gets free. It's like an Oprah thing. Just check behind your seats, all free. So go to our website, you can register a free account, play around with 3D models like I just did. We have around 1 million files that you can use for free. So like literally, if you're building something and you need free 3D models, check us out. You can find 3D models that are really, really cool, and you can kind of index them and search through them. And it's all totally royalty free that you can kind of use. And yeah, if you scan this right now, you'll actually get we're a New York-based company, so you're going to get the Empire State Building streamed into your phone. You don't have to install anything; it will just appear out of thin air, but it will appear from the Echo 3D cloud. So again, you'll just see kind of this really cool 3D model that appears from the cloud directly to your device without the need of installing anything. And this is like the kind of lowest hanging fruit, like the easiest thing that you can build with Echo. And you can literally build right now. Put a model, all the models have this kind of built-in XR application that you can kind of visualize them in 3D. Yeah, any questions? Yeah, please, over there.
Not sure if that link works. Yeah.
That is classic. Just let me know. Yeah, well, we'll check it out. It should be, maybe it's echo3.com then, but I'll check it out.
But worst QR code is not
Okay, interesting. Okay, I'll update it, and thanks for letting me know. Yeah, what a cherry on top.
Payment. It's asking me for payments.
I don't know what you scanned, but any other questions? Yeah, please.
Is there any kind of capabilities? I don't know if you might have touched on this, but for an AI to kind of view the 3D objects,
great question.
Like analyze, like say, like for example, this 3D object has like a red apple on the table, like something like that. Would that?
Yeah, great question. Let me actually show you that in real time. So, as I mentioned earlier, like we have this kind of built-in AI that scans all the models visually and adds tags. You can leverage all of that through API. We have built-in webhooks. That's basically a fancy way to say integrations that you can add and connect existing platforms to that, which means if you have your own AI model that runs on all your files and you want to create something for, let's say, image to 3D, or you want to train some model that has a massive collection of 3D and you basically match thumbnails to 3D models, you can connect that to Echo and kind of just run that on your entire collections. We have some companies who do that, or they have like existing platforms that they want to just connect it to their collection. Easy as hell. You just kind of connect it through Echo and it just works. Everything I've shown you here is available through API. So if you're like a nerd like me, easy. You can just connect everything and it's all like one API call away. Same thing with all the metadata. You can decide, hey, I have this asset, I want to add additional data to it. You can add that too. If you have assets, you want to add additional files to them, you can do that too. We have that with a lot of industrious companies that they manufacture something, so they have the 3D model, but then they have some like PDF that also connects to that file, and they want it there, or like a schematic of a building. So you have a 3D model of the building and the schematic. So you can upload the schematic as well, and that adds to like that also is introduced as like an input for like some AI that you're going to run, or just as a database entry that goes to search. Great question. Okay, he's in the lead with a number of questions. Who wants to try? Great questions. 3D and AR on visual representations on the browser. What? Yes, please.
Are you using this, I guess, in education in any way, or like with students?
Companies who, again, like we're a tool for like infrastructure. There's some education companies who use us. Some did like kind of class, like kind of modules for classes. So like you would have kids building some Unity app and they need access to like 3D files. So bam, you have kind of this library that you can use for cats or something. You get like a bunch of free 3D models that you can use. So you can do that. And then like each asset that's stored on it, you can store them in different collections. This could be different classes that you kind of manage. And you can have like permissions, and like students can see things that you you kind of assign to them and kind of decide what you can see, what they can see, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty robust. But
Okay.
Yeah, good question. Any more questions? Yes, please.
Do you like with your system, are there like latency benefits as compared to like hosting it locally or like on another platform?
Yeah, so so every time you upload a file to Echo, we do all these kind of conversion compressions and all these server optimization behind the scenes. So basically, when you stream it specifically from Echo, let's say if you have a user in Texas, they're going to get physically from a server closer to that in Texas. The same app is open in Italy. You get the same data from a server physically closer to Italy, so the streaming will be really, really fast. And behind the scenes, that file will also get compressed. So you'll have different versions that are just easier to stream. Yeah, and then you can kind of track with every time like someone, you know, accesses your files, you can see where they're coming from and stuff like that. So that's what you see here, because I have like a kind of a collection that was used all around, and yeah, you can just literally see where it's going. Or like I live in New York, our office in Soho, so you see a lot of access in Soho. I live on the Upper West Side, so you see every time I'm at home, you see more activity there. So you can really track kind of where your content is coming from and like who are the people who are trying to get it, and then see all the insights and kind of track everything. It also helps with security. Honestly, a lot of the companies, like, you know, we work with Chevron and whatnot, they want to see that, like, you know, not suddenly there's no access from like an area that they don't expect for people to come. But yeah, good question.
Are these your custom servers, or are you like hosting on AWS or Azure? Because
So it depends. Like we have our own. We also support AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud Platform. And sometimes for big customers like Chevrons of the world, we deploy it on their cloud. So literally, like, because sometimes people have like you know, security concerns and like IT stuff. Like they always want to like kind of centralize it on their cloud and not put it on someone's AWS. So we just deploy Echo on their cloud and then just runs there. Which in general, again, if you're kind of a builder and you're thinking kind of enterprise sales, I would definitely kind of throw that as a nice kind of tidbit to think about. Like, can my software, if needed, run locally? Same thing. If I'm creating some like AI tool to help enterprises, can I deploy it locally on their tenant? It's a good point. Any other questions? Yeah, please.
I have a quick question. So my understanding of this is GitHub, but for 3D
Yeah.
objects. How is it different from GitHub? I know it's a completely different.
So it's really about the 3D focus. So for when you talk about like GitHub in general, like you can't even double click a file and see it in 3D. And with us, we have these kind of like, I can like, you know, compare versions. We understand what a 3D file is. When you change a file, let me show that here actually. If you change a 3D file to the Spider-Man, no, let's do the car. The car is cool. When you change a file, when you change like a file in GitHub, it could be literally just text. So like that's kind of the versioning in the diff that's happening. But in 3D, a diff could be a diff in the metadata. It could be a diff in the file and just in the texture. So like, let's say I have this car and we said, I don't know, Christmas is coming up, time to change it around. So let's change the paint to be red. So suddenly now for GitHub, like or in our case, like suddenly the car being red, like the texture changing, that's the change, but not the metadata. So you always have to be kind of on top of like what is actually changing, what is actually kind of important, I guess. Because I think 3D is just like a lot more complicated than 2D. Because you first of all, you actually have like that third dimension of content, but then like the files themselves, like they have textures and colors and whatnot, and it just makes it so much more complicated to compare different files because they can change in so many ways. They can change, like you can have the same file that looks the same, but the mesh is not the same because this was poly reduced a little bit and the other one was not. So I think that's kind of our biggest thing around like GitHub for 3D. That like the changes are around like like everything about the 3D file and not just like visual. Yeah.
I have a follow-up question then. Because of how complex all these 3D files are and just the amount of stuff that you can do to it, how do you guys prioritize which to develop first? How do you guys hear from them?
Oh, whatever the client wants. That's the best answer that I can give you, the founder. If someone is willing to pay me big sum of money and that's what they need, that's what they're getting. In general, also, if you're like a startup founder, if you're a builder, you want to build something that people want. Like it's really cool to like find something in your mind that you really want to build, but you kind of have to religiously talk to your customers, find the thing that they want, and make sure that that's the thing you're building. So we're constantly in communication with like all of our enterprise customers and like, hey, what are the features they need? What is the thing they want? What will make this thing cooler? And a lot of the features that we need to do, it's like AI, it's visual integration, it's like all this kind of visual search, were because they told us, hey, this is something that we need. I can give you another example. We had a company in, again, they wanted to connect the marketing and the manufacturing teams. So the marketing team, every time there's like a product, let's say this car, they want to get screenshots of the 3D car, but like they don't want 2D, they just want 2D assets they can put on PowerPoints. So we added this feature that I can literally just click a button, take a snapshot, and then I have a 2D file that is basically just a, PNG with transparent background. PNG with transparent background of this car, and our system does that automatically. So every time, I don't know, what's Adobe is needed for a PNG. Yeah, so you just get like the same car we just saw, just with a transparent background. So like our system does that automatically for every product they upload. It creates like 5 snapshots, standardized, and suddenly marketing team is happy and they have kind of this 3D to 2D pipeline. Appreciate the question. Any other questions? Once, going twice. Yes.
I was just gesturing to you because I wasn't trying to fire it.
I don't know how to frame this technically. It's, you obviously are the expert. There's just like different flavors of 3D, like meshes and OBJs and NURBS, all that kind of stuff and stuff. So I imagine it can differentiate between all of that. But, I guess it can do objects. Can it do like digital twins, like twin motion? Can it do rendering?
So first of all, we support any file format. So when you upload 3D file, you mentioned OBJ, you can upload whatever you want. We convert everything to everything. And then you can literally click a button. Yeah, like this originally was a GLB, but I can click a button and get a version of an OBJ or is a GLTF. So, or like a USDZ because I want to use it in Apple Vision Pro, whatever. So all these converters, something that we had to build in as part of the infrastructure. And yeah, same with the digital twins. Yeah, so here's an example of all the digital twins I showed earlier. It just built in, just like different integrations. Or you actually inspired me a little bit. Gaussian splats are a big deal now in XR. We have integration of Gaussian splats, and also Niantic has a version of kind of Gaussian splats that we support as well. So shout out to them. But basically, yeah. So you can have all these Gaussian splats kind of built in, and it just works. And if you want to do the conversion, compressions, whatever, it's all here. You can upload whatever you want. Great question, and thanks for inspiring me to show some Gaussian splats. Yes, please.
So if we've got an existing like in-house 3D model store like PDM or something like that, can we connect to that?
Yes, so that's kind of what I mentioned with the workflows and kind of the API. Everything you see here is available through API. So if you have a PDM set or even like a 2D DAM, so like a 2D digital asset management, we just synchronize them. And once we do the deployment, usually on your cloud, then you can connect with whatever you want and literally like synchronize your data. And sometimes we have clients who just use Echo as kind of the 3D viewer on their existing PDM. So it just gives the links, better QR codes. But yeah. Wait, try scanning this. I feel like so bad. Try scanning this one if anyone really wants to see something in AI. If this doesn't work, then you pay whoever told you no. Any other questions?
Good work.
Woohoo! Redemption.
Awesome. That's amazing.
Redemption. So I need to update the slides. Note to self. Any other question? Yeah, please.
So you showed Gaussian splats, so you're able to upload a point cloud to this?
Correct. So you can upload in any format, and we just support that natively. And then if you want to convert that to like static models, you can do that too.
So you could theoretically convert a point cloud Gaussian splats to like a USDZ?
Yeah, and one of our biggest clients like really wants that because like they use drones to create massive scans. Then they want to use that like in like Omniverse or something like that, and Omniverse uses USDZ. So we created these pipelines that allow you to like take these flats, convert them to like a more static file, and then it just works. And they don't have to worry about it. But again, kind of like the value of like having an infrastructure that you don't have to worry about. Honestly, if tomorrow there's a new file format, we'll just add that too. But yeah, good question.
So that's time.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much.